So there were three significant college pro days today, but it's clear that one in particular had the eye of our Chicago Bear. Welcome back to Bears Yard. This your boy Vipe. And as I expected and even said on Twitter today, the Chicago Bears showed up heavy at Ohio State Pro Day today. Now, the other pro days that are going on today was the one at LSU. There's also Boise State Pro Day as well. Obviously, Boise State being the home of one Ashton Jeanty, LSU being the home of one Will Campbell. But Ben Johnson, Ryan Pope, Dennis Allen, and senior defensive assistant Bill Johnson all showed up to Ohio State. Now, why would they show up to Ohio State instead of Boise State or LSU? Well, number one, Ohio State just won the college football national championship. So clearly those dudes know how to win. But number two, and more importantly, Ohio State has, I think, 6, 7, 8 dudes going into the NFL draft this year. Boise State, I think, has, they might have more than Ashton Jeanty, but Ashton Jeanty is the headliner. I don't even know anybody else from Boise State that is going into the draft. Obviously, there'll be a few dudes from LSU going into the draft besides Will Campbell. But Ohio State is the heavy hitter, and that's where we're going to turn our attention for this particular video. So, who could the Bears be looking at Ohio State Pro Day? I mean, how much time do you have? So, Ben Johnson, obviously being the offensive-minded head coach that he is, he's going to be looking at Quinshon Judkins, TreVeyon Henderson, both of those running backs. He could be looking at Emeka Egbuka, Ohio State star wide receiver. Also, remember, Josh Simmons is there as well. Even though he is coming off that patella tendon injury, he did do a little bit of working out today at Ohio State Pro Day. He didn't do nothing at the combine, but he did do a little bit at the Pro Day today. Also put up 33 reps on the bench. So shout out to Josh Simmons, man. I see you, baby. Donovan Jackson is also there doing work. He's the guard from Ohio State. But again, Dennis Allen and Bill Johnson were there. So who could they be looking at Ohio State's defense? Well, I got a couple of personal dudes that I've kind of grown fond of during this draft process. Jack Sawyer, the defensive lineman, the edge player from Ohio State. Also, one of my personal favorites, JT Tuimoloau out there from Ohio State, also is there doing big things. Also was a big hype man today, cheering on his teammates. And again, with senior defensive assistant Bill Johnson being there along with Dennis Allen, that definitely tells me that the Bears were looking at those edge rushers, those defensive linemen in particular, because Bill Johnson is not showing up to a pro day unless he has someone in particular on that defensive line that he wants to look at. So both Jack Sawyer and JT Tuimoloau probably got his attention today at that pro day. But obviously with the Bears having picked 10, 39, 41, 72, and the other picks that we have, we're definitely a few possibilities of Ohio State players that could be drafted by the Chicago Bears. I think the only Ohio State player that will be looked at seriously at pick 10 or in the first round for that matter is JT Simmons. And you will really have to be comfortable with his medical if you're going to draft him at pick 10. But he does project to be a tackle at the next level. So if the Bears were to draft JT Simmons, that means the Bears will have 2 first-round talents on their offensive line at tackle, with Darnell Wright on the right and JT Simmons on the left. And I think that will give the Bears a month both their offensive line. Obviously, in the second and third rounds, you got Quinshon Judkins, Donovan Jackson, and you got TreVeyon Henderson. And there's been some chatter out there about the Bears potentially drafting 2 running backs and then drafting. I don't know how realistic that is, but we know at the very minimum they're going to draft one. So Quinshon or TreVeyon probably going to get drafted by the Bears if they don't get Jeanty at 10. I think the Bears will probably lean more towards Quinshon Judkins just because TreVeyon Henderson will be a lot like DeAndre Swift. You know, their skill sets are pretty similar, so it doesn't really make sense to have the same running back. But I would be happy if we got TreVeyon, but my question would be what happened then with DeAndre Swift? I don't know. Emeka Egbuka, the star wide receiver, he is a first-round talent, and I definitely don't see the Bears going wide receiver in the first round this year, so I pretty much eliminate him from contention. Although if somehow he drops to the second round, then maybe he becomes an option, but I think he's one of the top 5 receivers in the draft, so I don't think he's going to drop to the second round, so I think that's not very likely. But the guys I got my eye on from Ohio State, of course, JT Simmons, Quinshon Judkins, TreVeyon Henderson, my personal favorite, JT Tuimoloau, hopefully one of those guys, if not multiple of those guys, become Chicago Bear. But which Ohio State athletes are you interested in becoming Chicago Bears? Drop a comment, let me know. And my man Elton came in with a comment saying, hell yeah. And he's referring to the video I did a few days ago about the Bears showing up at Michigan Pro Day, which you can watch right there.